Hi students, I am Nimisha and I will be teaching you chapter 5 of the science textbook, Periodic Classification of Elements. I request you all to keep the notes available simultaneously while studying this chapter. First of all, before we understand what this means, let us understand something about elements. Before we understand elements, let us study atom. What is an atom? It's a particle. Everything around us is made up of atoms. You and I are also made up of atoms. Inside the atom, you have a nucleus. This is called a nucleus, where there's something known as a positive particle and a negative particle. So we have three particles: positive, negative and no charge. Positive particle is known as the proton. Negative particle is known as the electron, and the no charge particle is known as the neutron. Neutral charge, no charge. So we have an atom which itself is a particle, the most fundamental particle. Inside that we have subparticles that are more fundamental, known as electrons and protons. Along with that we have neutrons. Inside the nucleus, the protons and the neutrons lie. Outside the nucleus, we have few orbits on which electrons are revolving. So this is an atom. Let us say this is an hydrogen atom or an oxygen. Okay, let's take for example, this is an oxygen atom. What is an element? Element is a chemical substance that is made up of only one type of atom. So if I have oxygen atoms, only oxygen atoms, then this can be called as an element. It can be one atom, two atom, many atoms, provided it is only one type of atom. You cannot have few oxygens and few hydrogens. Then that's not element. That will become something else, become molecule, compound, we will understand. So this is what is an element. Now we have so many elements around the world, in our universe, everywhere, in this room, on this board, everywhere, in your notebook, we have different kind of elements. So how does one person try to understand so many elements? We needed one method to classify it. What do you mean by classify it? Now when you go to a shop, you will not see the shopkeeper mix soaps here with the food here, soap also here, food also here. Do you see in one shelf there is soap, there is food, there is notebooks? No, you see separate shelves. There will be soap here, book here, food here. It is classified. So one type is kept in one shelf. That means all the food is kept here. It can be mixture, salt or anything. So different food items are all kept here and it's easy to go and search in them. Now if I say, if you suddenly go to the shopkeeper and tell me, give me one packet of Haldiram's peanuts. What will he do? Does he have to search the whole shop? No, he will directly go here and select. Why? Because it is neatly classified. That is why we needed classification. Now the next question came, how do we classify it? Should I classify on what basis? If I am keeping all food items together, what are we doing? All the items that have the same property are put together. Agreed? All the items that have the same property are put together. So we have to see the properties and see whoever has similar properties, put them together. That is what we decided. There are different techniques on which we decide how to classify property, which property. So we have different conditions. Before we go ahead, let's understand one other thing about an atom. An atom, if it's represented by X, and if I write A here and Z here, this is very important. If I write A here and Z here, A is called the atomic mass number. Z is called the atomic number. What is atomic number? What is atomic mass number? Atomic number is simply number of protons in an atom. For example, let us take an atom of lithium. Lithium has 3 protons inside. Lithium has 4 neutrons inside. Electrons, it has 3. What do we understand by this? This number 3 will tell you either the number of protons or the number of electrons. This number 3 will either tell you the number of protons or number of electrons. Both are equal. Both are equal. Number of protons and number of electrons in a neutral atom, that means lithium. Neutral atom means what? You have not removed or added an electron. We will come to that later. The number of protons and number of electrons are equal. What is atomic mass number? Number of protons plus neutrons. That means whatever is there inside the nucleus, that is called atomic mass number. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. So, atomic mass number is nothing but number of protons plus number of neutrons. Whereas atomic number is nothing but number of protons. We should note number of protons is equal to number of electrons. So instead of P I can write E, no problem. Number of protons is equal to number of electrons. Now what did I mean by neutral atom? See, we cannot play with the nucleus. In the earlier days, we could not play with the nucleus. Today, yes, we can play with the nucleus, we can remove proton, put neutron, we can do all that. That is only brought us to nuclear physics. Your nuclear bombs work with the nucleus. Needs lot of energy. Practically speaking, before we reach the nuclear phase, we could not play with the nucleus. So all we did was with electrons. Add electrons or remove electrons. Understand carefully, right now there are 3 positive charges, P, 3 positive charges. This is plus 3. Now, there are 3 electrons, 3 negative charges. They cancel and my atom is neutral. If I remove one electron, I am removing this E. Now what happens? There are 3 protons, 2 electrons. So what 2 electrons is minus 2. This becomes plus 1. So every time you remove an electron, your atom gets 1 plus. If you remove an electron, your atom gets 1 plus. So it becomes Li plus. Remove one more electron, it becomes Li plus 2. That means it's telling you I have extra proton. How many? 1 extra proton, 2 extra protons. So these elements, Li plus and Li plus 2 or 2 plus, same thing, are called electropositive elements. Positive because they are getting a positive charge on them. Why are they called electropositive? That means they easily give up electrons. They're easily giving up electrons to become positive. Why do they do that? Because they are more stable in this form. They are more stable. They want to lose away electrons. We will learn this in detail as we go further. Now, let's imagine this electron was here itself. And I am adding now a new electron. So what happens now? I have 4 electrons. And how many protons? 3 protons. Overall charge minus 1. I will get Li minus. That means this lithium has 1 extra electron. It's got a negative charge. So this is called electronegative. It easily gains electrons. and becomes negative charge. Why? Because it's trying to add electrons to itself, so becoming negative. So if you remove electrons, that atom becomes plus. If you gain electrons, that atom becomes negative. Now, I hope it's clear what is the definition and meaning of electropositive and electronegative. Do all atoms show both in nature? Yes, all atoms have electropositivity and electronegativity, but few atoms show more tendency for electronegativity. Few atoms show more tendency for electropositivity. For example, lithium is a metal. Most of the metals are electropositive. Why? You will understand in this chapter. I hope it is clear what is the meaning of why we needed classification, what is an element, how do you represent an atom. A is the atomic mass number, Z is the atomic number. This is the general representation. This is an overall view what we've understood about what we're going to study in this chapter, and exactly what is the meaning of periodic you will understand only a little later in this chapter, and then you will understand why we have kept periodic and classification together. I'd like to repeat, please keep your notes with you while studying, going through the videos, so it's easy to understand the definitions. Here we will only be understanding it, we won't be stating every definition. So keep the notes simultaneously so you can read and understand it. We go to the next topic called Dobrynin's triads. Now we have already understood why we need to classify it. Let us see how the first chemist decided to classify it. The first chemist who tried to classify was Dobrynin. What did he do? Triad means group of three. Triad means group of three. So Dobrynin saw that if you take three elements with similar properties, and you group it, you will see that, for example, Dobrynin took lithium, sodium, potassium, realized that okay, they have similar properties, they can be grouped together. So there is lithium, sodium, potassium. How did he decide to group it? In what order? In increasing atomic mass. Lithium was the least. Next we had sodium, which was 23 atomic mass units. Potassium had 39 atomic mass units. He observed that the center element's mass was the average of the other two. See carefully, 7 plus 39 by 2. 7 plus 39, 46. 46 by 2, 23. You can see it's nothing but sodium. The average of these two gave us the center element's atomic mass. Or in other words, the atomic mass of the middle element was the average of the other two. So what did Dobrynin do? He took groups of three elements that had similar properties, and he observed that the center element's mass was the average of the other two. Then what was the limitation of Dobrynin's experiment? Dobrynin's law told us that yes, this holds good, you take average, it is true. But he could do this only for three such groups. He could do it only for three such groups. The first group was lithium, sodium, potassium. It's in this order. Second group was calcium, strontium, barium. And the last one, chlorine, bromine, iodine. These had similar properties, and if you check the center element's atomic mass, it is the average of the other two. So the limitation was he could do, the law was applicable only for three triads or 9 elements. Dobrynin started classifying it, and due to his failure, other scientists began showing an interest in classification. This brought us to Newland's law of octaves. Newland was the next scientist who tried to classify elements. What is the meaning of Newland's law of octaves? Oct means 8. Octave, your musical note. Oct. It has sa re ga ma pa da ni sa. It repeats again. Sa repeats. It's the notes of music. Octave is referring to that. The same thing is there, like how we have sa re ga ma pa da ni sa. Like that they have do re mi fa sol la ti. That is in the English language. So now what did he do? He took whatever elements were existing at that point and he started arranging them in increasing atomic mass. Only took, okay, hydrogen, you're light, you are first. Next, who is next? Who is heavier than hydrogen? Lithium. He kept lithium. Next, he checked calcium. Oh, it's too heavy. He checked all elements. He kept them in increasing atomic mass. So, as you go down the table, the mass is increasing. So, he kept them in increasing atomic mass. What he observed was every eighth element had similar properties to the first element. Observe. H, we started with H, 1, 2, 3, 4, so you are arranging it in groups of 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So from whichever element you start, 8th element same property. Meaning, if I start from lithium, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sodium and lithium will have similar properties. If I start from beryllium, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Magnesium and beryllium will have similar properties. So if you arrange elements in their increasing order of atomic mass, you will observe that every eighth element is the repetition, their properties is a repetition of the first element. If you start from magnesium, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, calcium and magnesium will have same properties. Beryllium and magnesium have same properties. Magnesium and calcium have same properties. Can I say all three have similar properties? Yes. So you could see that all these elements in the columns have similar properties. He was a step ahead from Daubigny, but he also arranged them according to atomic mass itself. Now, was this the finale? Did we reach classification? Is it the end? No. Newland also had many limitations. What were the limitations? Why did now his theory not become universal, become applicable everywhere? Why did it fail? Limitations. This whole table, Newland law of octaves, the law could be applied only up to lighter elements. That is up to calcium. Calcium little light. As you go after calcium, they all are heavy. So up to lighter elements such as calcium. That means if I start from magnesium, it will go to calcium 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, similar property. But after calcium, if I apply 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe it will apply. But if I go to chromium, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I say indium, chromium and Y, Cr and Y did not have similar properties. The law was failing as we moved forward. So the first rule tells you this was properly applicable only up to lighter elements such as calcium. Next, at that point, when Newland came up with the law, there were 56 elements. He grouped them all, but he assumed in the future no more elements are going to be discovered. He assumed no more discovery of new elements in the future. Today we are in hundreds of elements. So, was he right or wrong to assume that no more elements will discover? You only imagine, when Daubigny started, there were few elements. When Newland made the law, there were some more. Obviously, science was still evolving. That means it was advancing, learning new things. It would have grown. We would have discovered more elements. But he thought, no, we are 56, maybe nothing's going to happen in the future. No more discovery. He assumed this is it and he grouped it. He did not tell what happens if new elements are discovered. Where do we put them? What if I have a new element whose mass lies between magnesium and aluminum? Let's say that element is X. Where will I put it? There's no space. We don't know. Coming to the third point, just because he wanted to fit all the elements together, some places he grouped more than one element. For example, cobalt and nickel, he put both of them in the same slot. That is a limitation. According to law of, so how should I count this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 6, 7, 8. Again limitation, we don't know what to do. So this was a disadvantage. The same disadvantage when he grouped, so the other one was, he grouped few elements that did not have similar properties together. He grouped few elements that did not have similar properties together. It failed. Example, cobalt and nickel's properties vary from fluorine, chlorine and bromine. There is a difference between the properties of cobalt and nickel and fluorine, chlorine and bromine. That's a good example for this last point. You should say cobalt and nickel did not have similar properties with fluorine, chlorine and bromine. Page 81, second question. What were the limitations of Daubigner's classification? Third question, what were the limitations of Newland's law of octaves? Both of this was already discussed previously. So if you'll have any doubts, rewind the video, go through that and get back to this. Now let us understand the meaning of periodic. Periodic means something that repeats itself. For example, if you have a pendulum clock, you all have seen the pendulum clock, the clock goes like this and 1 second gets over. After some time, tung, one noise will come and it's 12 o'clock. So what is happening here? It's a period. Look, periodically moving. From here it is starting, going, coming back. 1 period, 2 period, 3 period. If it repeats at equal intervals, same thing repeats again and again, then it is called periodic. We already saw that in Newland's law of octaves. He said the 8th element showed same properties as the first element. So if I start from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so the period repeats again with the next 8. See, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it is periodically repeating. What? The property is periodically repeating. The interval 8 is not changing. Suddenly 2 is not becoming at 5. So the period, the interval of repetition is the same.